Alan Dershowitz will do just about anything.
Oh, yeah.
To get on television. And of course, he's no longer invited onto television. So, like, and I think Newsmax, do they still have a network, or One American Network? Whatever it is, the Dersh, it's few and far between. But Dershowitz does not think he exists unless he's on television. And so here he is with Steve Bannon reacting to Donald Trump's 34 guilty verdicts.
Convicted felon Donald Trump.
Professor Alan Dershowitz. Professor Dershowitz, you wrote a book at the start of this process called Get Trump. Did they get him today?
Hello?
Hello, Professor Dershowitz?
Yes. Can you hear me?
It's Steve Bannon. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you fine, sir.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Libertarian
I can
phone.
hear you fine. Perfect. You wrote the book, Get Trump. Did they get Trump today?
Well, they got him, and they got him good because he's unlikely to even be able to successfully appeal. He has to appeal first through the New York system. And the New York system are old judges that don't want to be responsible for freeing Donald Trump. These are people who have to live with their families. These are people who don't want to be Dershowitz'd. People know what happened to me when I defended Donald Trump on the floor of the Senate. Nobody on Martha's Vineyard would speak to me. Harvard Law School canceled me after I've been there for 50 years.
We need to
and
go back
judges don't want that to happen.
We need to
soak this in.
I just want to reiterate, this is real as far as we know. That this is actually Alan Dershowitz, and he actually said these things. As far as we know, this is not artificial intelligence mocking Alan Dershowitz.
You know what? I actually think, you know how sometimes when you look up on the dictionary, words can have like multiple meanings? It's homonyms. So there's sometimes homonyms, right? There's like a stare that you step on, or stare where you're staring at somebody. That's just an example. Dershowitz can have two meanings. For him, it's getting dirty looks at Martha's Vineyard and no one can talk to him, or no one wants to talk to him. For Dershowitz, I would say, would be, say, allegedly having sex with an underage girl who was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. Like that victim got Dershowitz. So that's what I would use it as.
I don't think it's just Trump support that has him not invited to Martha's Vineyard parties. I think it's maybe some other legal representation work that he was doing.
And I will also say, I do appreciate his acknowledgement that the law is, and the legal system is, a complete joke on some level. But I mean, for him to make this argument about criminal cases, this is part of like what, Guy had said, and others are saying as well. The for a guy whose entire career was built upon the legal system, who is a law professor at Harvard, to essentially say, to essentially nullify the entire legal system, criminal legal system in New York State, is pretty impressive.
He's saying that they are afraid of getting Dershowitz'd by his definition, meaning that no judge will be fair to Trump because they're afraid that they too will not have a good social life on Martha's Vineyard. This is the case that he's making.
But what of those judges who might vacation upstate New York?
Right.
Like, what if they, do we need to find a judge that's not, part of a close-knit community in a vacation town? Maybe somebody who has like a cabin in the woods, or somebody who just likes to hike. And, and might do it, with just one or two close friends who understand that they, were just doing their job. Maybe there's no judges like that anymore. Go ahead.
You hear me? Yeah.
I can hear you fine. Perfect. You wrote the book, Get Trump. Did they get Trump today?
Well, they got him, and they got him good because he's unlikely to even be able to successfully appeal. He has to appeal first through the New York system. And the New York system are old judges that don't want to be responsible for freeing Donald Trump. These are people who have to live with their families. These are people who don't want to be Dershowitz'd. People know what happened to me when I defended Donald Trump on the floor of the Senate. Nobody on Martha's Vineyard would speak to me. Harvard Law School canceled me after I'd been there for 50 years. And judges don't want that to happen to them. So I am not encouraged that he'll get a fair appeal. It's possible. And ultimately, maybe he'll get to the Supreme Court, but by that time, the election will be over.
What do you think about they've announced the sentencing for July 11th, just a few days before he takes the stage in front of the world to accept the Republican nomination? Your thoughts?
Yeah, he can probably get a stay of that, but the sentencing will be before the election. I don't think he'll get prison time. With this judge, you never know, but I don't think he'll get prison time. But he might get some, home arrest or probationary conditions or a big fine. This is a non-crime he's been convicted of. Never in American history has anybody been charged with a crime as ludicrous as this. Nobody has ever been charged with not reporting a hush money payment. If you have to report hush money payments, why would anybody ever pay hush money? This is a stain, a terrible stain on the American system of justice. In my book, Get Trump, I predicted this. I said there were going to be convictions. But
Okay. Let's just do this again for Alan Dershowitz. The charges that Donald Trump was convicted of. Let's do this as 12B here. This is, I should say, 12B. This is when this is law.com reporting, again, we'll do this again, April 6, 2023, New York State has issued nearly 9,800 felony charges of falsifying business records since 2015. The idea that it was like hush money is largely irrelevant, except for the fact that it was also done in service of a campaign.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you remember John Edwards, but John Edwards was running for president.
Yeah.
And Obama's DOJ charged him with a similar violation of campaign finance laws when a donor paid money to essentially provide hush money for John Edwards' mistress. Now, I think ultimately he was exonerated, but we know the underlying crime happened and was adjudicated because that's why Michael Cohen went to prison.
Exactly.
And so the idea that it was hush money is relevant in any way, it's not. It's relevant only insofar as that it was done as a violation of election law. And therefore, here is I-Team NBC New York in that same April 7th, falsification of business records, rarely the top charge on New York indictments, even though there's been 9,800 of these over the course of the past 10 years. It is something that is layered on top of, like, why did they falsify these business records? If there was an underlying crime that those falsification of business records was perpetrated on, that's the story. So none of this is what Alan Dershowitz says. It may be the case that people don't want to be Dershowitz'd or Dershowiz'd.
All the judges in New York don't want to be Dershowitz'd, his definition.
People, I mean,
that's
who
why
would
Trump
want
can't
to
get
be
a fair
Dershed
trial.
in the first place? No one.
Right. Certainly not me.
No, but it's amazing that Dersh is always able to turn this back to him.
Oh, he referenced his book about Trump how many times?
A little bit self-absorbed. I don't think
What?
people would say, oh, Dershowitz'd, that synonym for being canceled.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit self-absorbed. And also, you know what's more self-absorbed? The fact that he was endlessly mocked for this exact, situation that he talked about, that he was not getting like favorable treatment from his friends on Martha's Vineyard. And it was a whole thing. And yet he's still so aggrieved by it that he's repeating it now as an example of how unfair the world has been to him. It's like, buddy, we see you with Jeffrey Epstein. Most people think that you shouldn't even be in public life.
He got Epsteined.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.